We have all had thoughts about what we would do in a zombie apocalypse, many of which focus on our own survival. But what if you found an abandoned baby? How many of us would take the responsibility of looking after such a fragile life? How many of us would just leave? In this gripping audio drama, we follow the story of a man who struggles to keep his humanity while raising a baby in this world wrought with chaos, bringing back the one thing this lawless civilization needs most: hope. Mudwalker Productions presents Raising Hope, an audio drama that will keep you asking, what's next? Raising Hope is a self-produced bi-weekly audio drama. Ask not what you should do to survive. Ask how do I live? Available now wherever you get your podcasts.
I designed M3gan to protect Katie from feeling lonely. She will recognize you as her primary user. And when you do that, you're going to pair with her.
Crazy. It's insane, right?
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Hello there.
This week, we'll be discussing the new classic, M3gan, starring Allison Williams and a crazy doll gone wild. Each week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the horror and sci-fi genre with a comedic twist. Aaron, how you doing?
I'm doing enough.
That's
back at work. Back at work.
You're doing the Lord's work. You're doing the Lord's work.
I am the Lord.
And by the Lord's work, I just mean recording a podcast on your first day of school. I think that's the most important thing, don't you?
I can't even concentrate. I'm overly stimulated by everything in the background of your thing. Between your ukulele, your hammock of plushies, and all your favorite boy bands. I
they are
can't
my
look
favorite.
Away.
Are you kidding me? You've got Pee Wee Herman sitting on a toilet.
R.I.P.
Cherry. R.I.P. There looks to be a disembodied head behind you. There's all sorts of horror.
Her name is Vivian. I know that because it's written across her neck.
Vivian from wasn't that Julia Roberts' name in Pretty Woman? She was Vivian.
Is it? I was thinking of more of the young ones. There was Vivian.
There was a dude named Vivian. Absolutely. Coincidence?
I think not. Who's to say? Not I, that's for sure.
Not I, said the fly. Good Lord.
Boom.
Shall we just get started? Or do you have more you'd like to share about the perils of teaching?
No, my energy level is so low.
That's what our audience loves to hear.
It's this low. That's how low it is. Back to school night is next week. Boom.
We are on video, but assume that at least half our audience is not going to respond to sight gags. Sweet Jesus.
Then that's why they need to join our fake Patreon or subscribe to
We
our
do not have a Patreon.
so we can so they can get down and get the real good stuff. I'm looking at myself in the mirror.
To get down and funky.
Get down and funky.
or flunky. God.
You're all gonna flunky in a minute.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to apologize.
I'm like sweating because I forgot to turn on the fan and it is 106 outside.
It is hot as the devil's drawers. Ain't no lie about that.
That's right. Fire crotch, you might say. You just keep rambling. I'm turning on the overhead fan. Keep going.
Take your time. Take your time.
Just keep jibber jabbering about M3gan or something.
This is a high quality episode in a podcast where it's nothing but the best. We are well prepared. We step up. We don't hit the record button till we're ready to rock. Let me tell you, that's how we roll on this podcast.
This is real. This is
real.
Real world.
This is how the sausage is made.
This ain't no party. This ain't no disco.
This ain't no country club.
Around.
This is LA. Anywho, why don't you give us your 30-second synopsis of M3gan?
A lady who's never seen a child before develops a crazy robot with no safeguards. Hijinks ensue, and she is completely oblivious. And I don't know. In the end, her heart grew 3 sizes that day. Happy ending.
Yes. Happy. You didn't even need the full 30 seconds on that one.
Boom. The end. The end.
The end. Now, you had never seen this before. Is that correct? This is your first viewing?
No, I had not.
Had you heard of it?
I try to avoid child robot movies. I believe I remember seeing the ads. I mean, and let's be clear, it doesn't look like a child. It looks like a 26-year-old small person.
At what
it doesn't
point
speak like a child. I mean,
there was a moment where they're trying to drop off the kid at the special day school, whatever it is, out in the forest, and the lady's a camp counselor.
Special day school implies that she's in special education.
Well, I mean, clearly.
It's more like a Montessori thing.
Yes,
she was
yes,
homeschooled.
You're right. And whenever the teacher comes to collect her, and she's like, oh, and what's this child's name? And immediately goes, oh, Jesus Christ.
Exactly. It's terrifying.
I had to write that down. That was dynamite. There was a lot of moments in this. Now, I remember seeing the ads for this movie back last January, let's say. And usually, as we all know, January is the dumping ground of movies that have been made, but they don't have a lot of enthusiasm for.
It seems appropriate.
It does seem appropriate. However, there was a lot. I started to hear a lot of good word of mouth about this movie. So I went and saw it by myself. I don't know if it was in January, maybe it was in February, so it was still hanging around. And I have to say, pleasantly surprised.
I would say it's good enough to goof on. I would have been maybe annoyed if I saw it at the theater, but it's perfectly okay for Amazon Prime. How about that?
I think you're out of your damn mind. I think this is a new classic. What do you think of that?
You want to see a new classic? You got to go to the movie theater right now and see Talk to Me. That's a new classic.
I may go see
again.
Look, okay, A224 definitely strikes again. I will definitely go see that. This is that period of the year. This is August, mid-August, where I go to school later than everyone else in my family. So there's going to be some time where it's just K-Dog rocking out at home by his own self. And that's usually when I go to the theater to watch these movies. A couple years ago, I saw the alligator classic Crawl under these circumstances. So I will definitely put, Talk to Me?
Talk to Me.
I
was too scared to go by myself, so I had to drag a homie along. And within 7 minutes, I turned to her and I said, they're not playing around.
They're not, but
they're not playing around.
Megan is playing around.
Megan
right out of the
is
gate.
Playing around.
When they jump in with the fake commercial where it's like, oh, you have a lovely pet at home, but you know all pets die. So then they cut to like the grave with the child crying. That I knew we were in for something good at that moment. And the plan is, what was it? The crazy fake Furbies were called perpetual pets.
Perpetual.
Because they will outlive you.
It's Teddy Ruxpin if you knew he could fuck you up.
Well, it's a Furby that says inappropriate things, and if you feed it too much, it'll poo on the floor. It's something serious. And I think it causes the fatal car accident that strikes down poor what's-her-name's parents at the beginning of the movie. Agree or disagree?
She 100% looks like an orphan. I think she's the orphan from The Orphan. Because later on, she acts the shit. You want to like turn around, it'd be like you're driving the car. This is why there was the accident. They didn't show you the real thing. Is dad's trying to drive, she's kicking the back of the seat. He goes to give her the back of the hand, and she does something and then that's the real end of the story.
Well,
the first time the child kicked the back of my chair while I'm driving, we're pulling over and we're having a situation. CPS is going to get called. I mean, it's just a hair away from them grabbing the steering wheel.
It's kind of
You're
reminiscent.
going in the
now
trunk,
that-
little missy. You ain't my
Absolutely.
child. In the trunk.
It's reminiscent.
Your daughter Gracie,
Jesus
you
Christ.
got in a terrible accident. Gracie starts kicking my headrest while I'm driving. She's going in the trunk for a little while. Put that in your will.
It's almost reminiscent. Third time I've started a sentence that Aaron cuts me off and goes on for 20 more minutes. It's kind of reminiscent of the Babadook at the beginning of the movie, where there's a scene where she's driving, la la la, and the kid is having a flip out in the back seat. Ma! Ma! Where it's that kind of thing where you're like, look, I don't support child abuse, obviously. But in situations like these, you kind of go like...
In most cases...
Generally
it's frowned
speaking,
upon.
yes, it's the generally speaking. What's interesting is that actress. She was in another movie we've done fairly recently. She was in Dr. Sleep. The little girl. Do you know who she was in Dr. Sleep? This is a hard question.
Got her soul sucked out.
She's at the beginning of the movie, where it's whatever the hell, Margie the Hat or whatever her name was.
Yes.
The little girl's at like a campground and walks over by the lake, and then Margie comes out and kind of takes her hand.
Yeah.
She was,
yes.
yeah. It's like the very first scene.
Dr. Sleep. Dr. Sleep was good. The story was good.
Agree.
The movie was good.
No question. No question. So let's just jump right into the highlights. Aaron, what you got?
Well, first of all, the whole concept that you're going to have this toy that no one ever outgrows. We had a swimming pool, and you know what we did? We made our mom take us to the swim center.
Mom,
no.
You're saying Mom would have just let you be floating in the pool otherwise if you hadn't insisted. Is that what you're suggesting?
No, we had a pool. We had a pool growing up. Truth.
Yes, but Mom wanted you to swim. You're saying we would have drowned if it wasn't for me demanding Mom teach us how to swim. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is we had a thing and we insisted on a different thing that was almost the same.
Now I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Go ahead. Start over. We had a pool.
Instead of swimming in our own pool,
yes,
we insisted that Mom take us to the swim center so we could go swim there. A place with another pool where we then would pay for that.
Now, why would you insist to do this? Now I see what you're saying. So it's not Mom, it's your insanity.
Oh my
I don't
God. I'm going to have you evaluated. I don't know.
Well, you said you insisted that you took Mom take you to the swim center to learn how to swim.
I didn't say to swim, not to learn how to swim, to swim.
Okay,
Dear God. Dear God. My point being, all summer long. Yes, it cost us
Why
money.
would she agree to that?
To get us the out of the house, I guess.
So she just dropped you off at the swim center and just be like, deuces. Well, maybe it's worth the money at that point.
But my point that I was trying to make is there is no perpetual thing. The perpetual pet eventually is going to be irritating. When you're 16, you're not playing with the same toys you played with that's pooping all over the floor. Right. And quite frankly, Megan was a nag. If it wasn't that this chick was already demented, she was a fucking harpy. I mean, besides looking creepy and being creepy, come on, really? Can't you flush the toilet?
I wrote that down. Seriously, can you flush? Because the first time she said, "Don't forget to wash or flush the toilet." Hey, did you wash your hands? Smash cut. Hey. Seriously, would you flush the toilet, please? Yeah, it got serious. And I was on board.
I was on board at that point. If I could, I mean, not of course knowing what we know, but at first it seemed like a great concept. Why parent your children at all when you can hire an angry robot that just follows them around going, "Did you flush? Wipe that pee off the floor. Did you just put that plate in the sink? Put it in the dishwasher. It's 2 inches away."
Oh,
now that's a robot I can get behind.
We're happy if they put the dishes in the sink. We find them under the cushions in odd places around the house. I need a damn Megan to come crack some skulls up in here. I'm not lying.
I mean, the premise that I would, if I could have this doll, I would never need another toy again.
Yes.
Wrong. Wrong. That's nice. She can sing a little crazy song and talk to you and play cards. But you're going to get tired of that shit. I don't know, whatever the hell she does. You're going to get tired of this. Nobody wants to just sit quietly and chit chat and never do anything else.
It's true. It's sad in our house where it's like you give the kids presents for birthdays or Christmas or whatever, things that they couldn't live without.
Yeah.
And then it literally, like in many cases, the toys sit on a shelf and are never played with again.
It's never quite what they thought it would be.
Right. Not like literally it's opened, put on the shelf, collects dust. Dad says, get this shit out of here. Mom feels bad. We spent $50 on that thing. We have to get rid of it. I'm like, it's just taking up space. And that
in this movie, though, the doll hears, let's get rid of this shit. And then it stands over you while you're sleeping with a knife, say that again, bitch.
Absolutely. Okay, we have to, it's stabbing. The thing we have to talk about, basically, okay. So the little girl's parents die at the beginning of the movie in a tragic snowplow accident of some sort. And she has to go live with her aunt who designs highly advanced toys for this toy company. Like we said, Perpetual Pets. But she's really working on this new doll that'll be fully interactive. That's the idea. It has a learning brain, blah, 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 blah. But they go over the schematics of this thing, and it's like, it's got a titanium frame. It does? Why would, in God's green earth, would it need a titanium frame?
Because it's a toy. It's a covert CIA thing where when the shit goes down, all of a sudden it's the rise of the machines. And then machine guns shoot out of their little chubby hands.
I mean, that would make a hell of a lot more sense. I mean, it's bulletproof? Is that necessary? There's never a scene in this movie, and you kind of see this in most of these movies of this type, where it's like a lightning bolt happens to strike something, and that now the thing's kind of like, oh, now I don't have to follow commands. There's never that moment in this movie. It's just because it's a learning thing, kind of a Terminator 2 situation where it just becomes like, oh, well, now you can't even turn me off. You say, shut down, Megan. Right. It's Chat GPT. But it learns and then becomes psychotic on its own. And it learns like, you can't, I'm going to pretend to be asleep. I'm going to pretend to be off.
It learns to ignore all the safeguards.
Right. Well, and they even said, there are no safeguards in this thing. That's you know what important. I mean? Like in RoboCop, they put in safeguards, right? But there's no, there's like, this is like arguably tougher than RoboCop. What the hell?
Yeah.
It makes no GD. That part made no sense. Go ahead.
That made no sense. I put down, I know I said small people, but they are small people. I put down, it literally looks like a 20-something Olsen twin.
Yes. Well, because they've got like a kind of a Farrah Fawcett hairstyle from the 70s, something going on
and there. Like polyester skirt. It looks like she should be smoking some Pall Malls and have like a brown
it's always
purse
the Pall Malls and the bourbon. Yes. We know how it goes.
She's having bourbon. She's had a hard time.
There was a moment. So the niece goes to live with her aunt who doesn't know how to deal with kids. It's like baby boom.
Who clearly has no connection and couldn't give a.
Sitting here, hey, get on. You can use my iPad. And she's like, well, what about screen time? Screen time, who gives a damn? Play with it all night.
Screen time, shreem time.
Shreem time.
I know it's your mom is dead. It's my sister. But really, who cares? Here's an iPad. See you in 12 hours. I'm just going to the basement to build my creep robots.
I love it when the judgy therapist arrives at their house. I'm just here to observe you guys. Okay, cool. Can we play with your toys? Sure. Because I don't have any toys. Why don't I have any toys? Because I'm a grown adult and the kid arrived here yesterday. Sorry, CPS, judgy therapist.
CPS never arrives that fast. Come on.
Lickety split. And then it's like, hey, here's a toy that I have. Let me explain it. Oh, no, 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 no. Don't explain that toy. It's better if she discovers on her own. Okay, I guess we can
See,
just roll it on the
Montessori.
floor. We
It's
can
all
just roll it on the
Montessori.
floor like a tennis ball. This is highly
She's
advanced.
like 12. Let's just sit like a toddler and roll a little effed up ball back and forth. And then what? We just stare at each other with our dead eyes.
Well, and later in the movie, the little girl is totally psychotic. She's like meeting with she's like throwing her shit on the floor. She's like, your
She
$5
pulls a knife
handbag.
on the therapist.
Yes. Yes.
And she's
Therapist-
allowed to remain where she is. There would have
Absolutely.
been a squad coming to pick that biz up. They'd be
Well,
like,
in the end-
let me talk to her quietly. I'd be like, yeah, because I'm going to need to step outside and put the Met team needs to come.
Absolutely.
Inject this child with some Thorazine or something.
And the aunt is not worried about it at all at that point. Later in the movie, she's like, I don't give a... Take this kid. Take her. She kicked me in the back of the headrest while I was driving. Gotta go. She gotta go.
Put her in the trunk.
Put her in the trunk with Megan. For God's sakes.
Oh, Lord.
Casey seriously flushed the toilet. I wrote that down.
It was, the idea is fantastic. It's basically a nanny for when you don't want to raise your child. If you want to pretend like you're royalty from like 1890s, where your child is presented after breakfast and right before you have dinner, and you pat them on the head. This
like
is
a governess.
You.
Absolutely.
It's a governess.
It is. It's supposed to be a toy, but it's given so many capabilities. And literally the point, like people make the point, it doesn't need all these capabilities. Why are we giving this level of AI to a child's toy? And they literally say, does it cost more than a Tesla? Well, it depends which model. Really?
Model. And then they come out and it's $1,000 or something.
$10,000.
$10,000.
Still. And they're like, cool. 10,000 sounds great. Who's buying a $10,000 doll for their child?
Maybe for $1,000, you just get one that just kind of follows you around and says, okay.
Like Eeyore?
It's like an Eeyore. It's like a dum-dum meat. It's
That's
like
not
quite M3gan, it's Meg.
It's just Meg, exactly. The trailer version. It's interesting. There was a moment, and you're gonna mock me, where I genuinely had a tear in my eye. There's a scene where they're doing like a presentation for, I don't know, the board of directors or whatever. And Megan comes and says, hey, why don't we do a craft? And immediately little Casey bursts into tears. And Megan walks across and says, what's wrong? Oh, well, my parents died last week. And you think the board of directors would be like, what kind of presentation? Where'd you find this kid?
You would think it was a setup.
Absolutely. It was so heavy-handed. But then Megan was just like, I've saved, the memory of your parents right here. And if you ever want to talk about it or hear it, we can just, I'm here for you. And sings a little crazy song. La, la, la. And they cut to the woman's like wiping her tears. And I'm like, I'm kind of wiping my tears too.
Aaron,
but you'll notice emotions.
But you will notice every time Megan always pauses and looks to the aunt to see how she's going to react. It is a judgy as fuck look.
Oh,
every time it's like, aren't you going to? It's the look that says, aren't you going to do something? Aren't you going to say something?
I got this because you're not doing it.
And eventually, even during that, it was kind of like, staring at the aunt. She's not doing shit. I'm stepping up.
Well, in the climax of the movie, Megan literally says, you never wanted to be a parent. Your work's always going to be your first love. So just let me handle it.
Yeah. She's mine.
Absolutely. And rightfully so.
Uh-huh.
For goodness sake.
She's that crazy mom who, any bullies, Well, little Timmy didn't show up for school today. So eventually you will all be in prison, but...
Okay, so there's a moment. We talked about this, the Montessori school in the woods, where Allison Williams meets like another parent who's just like, oh, my son struggled in a regular thing. They say behavior issues is a sign of genius after all. And then she goes, oh, hey, Darren. I don't remember his name. Oh, hey, Darren, have a good day. Turns and goes, oh, F off, Mom. And
no,
then
not even Mom. He's all F off like Shirley.
Right, whatever it was.
Mom by her first name.
And Allison Williams goes like, oh, it's such a fun age. It was great. It was so good. And again, at some point, Megan becomes just a killing machine. Right?
Yeah. Eventually, she doesn't give a damn at all.
She doesn't.
I'm going to kill people that are irritating. I'm going to kill people that, come to the house too much.
By the end, she's just killing everybody. But early on, it's like the dog bites Casey. So she kills the dog and buries it. Okay. And knows that she's not supposed to do this. So she's like hiding the crime, right? When she kills the kid who was also the bad seed. Let's be honest. He picks up like a chestnut, like a spiky thing, and presses it into Casey's hand. I mean, it would have hurt his hand as well, but I guess, the squeeze is worth the juice is worth the squeeze or whatever.
Is that a saying?
The juice is worth the squeeze. Absolutely. You've never heard that?
Very provocative.
It does now that you mention it. I'll never say it again. And she chases the kid first rips his ear off, because that's just how she rolls.
And all stretched out, like silly putty.
Pops it off and chases him into traffic where he gets run over, which was surprising.
Let's back up a little bit.
Go ahead.
First, he's the one who steals the doll.
Yes.
It must weigh 400 pounds, but anyway, he
obviously not, right?
And then it appeared like he was about to rape it.
It did appear that way.
I was like, what is going on? We have
took off one shoe.
Elementary school rape? I mean, what is this? It was
he
so
going for the nylons? I didn't know what was happening. It looked sketchy.
Why is she running like a wild animal? I mean, it was creepy as hell, but she's an AI robot. So is she programmed to come up with effed up stuff to do for ultimate terror?
Yes. She says, we don't know where this line came from. She says, now is the time where you're supposed to run, is what she says to the guy. Now, when I watched Terminator 2, in that movie, there's a lot of like Arnold Schwarzenegger learning phrases that he uses, hasta la vista. Earlier in the movie, he learned that phrase from the kid, basically. There's no time in this movie where Megan's like watching a show or something, or somebody says something similar. This is just coming right out of psychotic Megan out of nowhere.
Yeah. Just a sassafras.
But you're right. She kind of like rises from the grave like Count Orlok or something. And now is where you're supposed to run. He runs off. And she's like a gorilla or something running on all fours. You hear like a galloping sound chasing him. And of course, Allison Williams is like, this seems questionable. And she goes into the files to look at
Nothing is more questionable than Allison Williams' behavior in this whole movie.
Oh, no. She doesn't make any sense at all. And later in the movie, even Megan says, you created this AI that even you didn't understand. You didn't put any safeguards. You just put me out there and hope that I figured it out. Well, I did figure it out, Allison Williams. She doesn't, I'm paraphrasing, but that's something like, and it's all true.
It was really weird because when she was doing that speech, it was like she was jealous. Like, you're my mom, and we used to have all these discussions, and then what?
Oh, that's true. I was up with you till 4 a.m.
Yep.
Working on the code. And this is how you repay me. Mm-hmm. Sweet Jesus. So, chases the kid into traffic. He gets run over. And Alice Williams goes into the computer to say, like, well, what really happened? And of course, all those files, like all like the video files, all erased, all corrupted. The GPS is so there's no evidence of the crime that the audience knows took place. So, and there was a funny scene where the cop shows up to get her statement, and he's very irreverent to the point where he's just like, huh, I shouldn't laugh at that, because he says like, yeah, we found his ear was ripped off and thrown in the bushes. Oh, I shouldn't laugh at that.
Yeah, why are you laughing at that? That's nasty.
It was oh good. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. There are these moments like the dialogue made me laugh in this movie. I thought it was freaking hilarious.
Oh
You
my
seem to
God.
not appreciate it as much as I did.
I mean, it's okay. I did like Meg the Nag, and the fact that she just judges all your parenting. She's just like,
Absolutely, as she should, because Allison Williams at one point says, "Hey, I gotta do some work. Play on my iPad. I'll come out and then we can go get some eat. Get something to eat." Seemingly hours later, she's still tapping away at the computer, and the little Casey comes around the corner, rubbing salt out of her eyes, sand out of her eyes, going, "Are we eating tonight, or is it breakfast more appropriate?
Is it midnight? Is it 2 a.m.? Yeah.
She's like, "Whoops, my bad. Not a good parent.
I'm going to build a robot mommy for because your mommy's dead."
So
and basically, that's all you have to say to a child to remind them, so they don't pick up knives and dump out social worker purses. You're supposed to feel bad. Your mother's dead.
When she dumps out the social worker's purse, you hear her say, "And your fucking $5 bag," and throws it off the floor. Now that cut deep. That cut deep. Don't be mean to the social worker.
Oh
at the end of the movie, Megan is fully psychotic. She tries to kill the other programmers, hangs one of them, and tries to blow up the office because they were trying to shut her down. Then she's walking the halls, and the CEO of the company is like, "How am I going to put on this big presentation? Allison Williams nowhere to be found. I don't have the doll." The doll comes around the corner, and he's like, "Megan, what are you doing here?" And then Megan, for no reason, starts doing a bizarre acrobatic sexual dance where she's like, I'm like, what is happening? What am I watching right now? Like, it was very acrobatic. And even he's like, "Megan?" And she seemingly pulls like a samurai sword or a machete or something from a nearby table and chases him down the hall and kills him. Why? I don't know why. Does anybody know why?
No one knows why. I got a why for you. How come? Because she's hooked up to their computers, she also controls anything with electricity in the entire building at all times.
That's right. Because she's
what kind of wizardy biz is that?
Allison Williams tries to call her friend, who's the programmer, Tess, I think was her name, to say, like, we can't let this show go on. We can't, there's too many questions. And Tess like, "Oh yeah, I'm sure you're right. I'll take care of that." And it was Megan hooked up to a wire across the room using her psychic powers to control the cell phone. It's too much power for one tiny doll to control, is my question. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's so ridiculous.
So
really,
she kills...
The aunt should have died, so she could have been an orphan 3 times over.
Absolutely.
4 times over. Ask? So not enough. I mean, I feel like Allison got off a little light.
Well, she should be in jail. At the end of this movie, she should be in chains.
Absolutely. I mean, you build a car with faulty brakes, somebody's in trouble. You build like a psycho killing robot with no fail safes. Because you're Amish? You've never seen any horror movie in your life?
Yes, she is Amish. She's at least Mennonite. It's the idea is, we talked about this. There's no reason that the thing should be made out of titanium and have super strength. There is no reason in God's green earth it should have those things.
No.
Adding to that, it should not have a super learning computer where it's access to all information in the world and can manipulate like all machine. Like, this is a child's doll.
And
right?
does it have a nuclear reactor inside of it? Because I don't ever see them recharging that battery.
It kind of, when little Casey sleeps at night, Megan sits on the windowsill and you see like the bottom of the windowsill kind of lights up. So I'm
What the
assuming
hell
there's
does
some
that
kind
even
of,
mean? There's a nuclear reactor in her arse?
for all I know, you plug her into a 220, the same
Plug
as
it
like
in,
your.
plug it in.
Absolutely. But at the end of it, so she kills the CEO, stabs him, and then kills like the little like
with the blade
toady
from
guy.
a paper cutter.
It was supposed to be like a paper cutter, but it's like, it looks too much like a machete.
Yeah.
The way she's wielding it, it's like slicing. Like, she frames the guy saying like, "Well, you were always jealous of the CEO. That's why you killed him." He's like, "I didn't kill him." And now you're going to kill yourself? Because everybody would take a giant paper shredder and stab themselves to death with it into the throat. That's standard.
Yeah.
So she's covering her tracks.
Yeah, suddenly she's getting real smart. Real smart.
Absolutely.
I got confused at the end there. She's not waterproof?
Not water. You hit her with...
You can hit her with a sledgehammer, but a half a cup of water falls on her face, and now we're short-circuiting? Is that correct?
That is 100% correct.
I wanted to be clear on that.
That's a design flaw, I would argue. Right? If you're spending, like, literally, they must have spent $100,000. And then she even says, we spent $100,000 of the company's money developing Megan.
Without telling anyone.
Without telling. So if this doesn't work, we're all going to jail. It's like, that seems pretty crazy. That seems nuts. And they're all on board. Oh, damn, you're right. We did spend $100,000 of the company's money to develop Megan and didn't tell anybody. Well, and not only did they not tell anybody, the CEO on multiple occasions said, put that shit in the closet and get back to work on the cheap version of Perpetual Pets. And they were defying him.
She could not get it together enough to create a cheaper version of the Eternal Pet or whatever what is it? Perpetual Pet.
The Perpetual Pet.
But she can create the Winter Soldier in her basement.
Absolutely. Yes. That's the answer. So now at the end of the she needs to go to jail for a number of reasons. Frankly, embezzlement. Add that to the list of offenses. I mean, we don't know how it ends. I mean, presumably Casey goes to live with a foster family, right? Because any setting would be better than this particular setting.
I agree.
And then Allison Williams goes to the women's federal penitentiary for all of her crimes. For building a weapon of mass destruction.
She's a sociopath. She's clearly a sociopath. And the little girl goes off to Florida with her aunt and uncle to become Scientologists. It's probably on her way to being Tom Cruise's next child bride.
Well, that was the other thing. It was like she had her grandparents, her husband, her father's parents live in Jacksonville and wanted her to come live with them. But Allison Williams, it's that weird thing where it's just like, well, I don't really want this child, but I don't want the child to go to Jacksonville. Why?
I've got it all solved. She's with a killer robot. What more could she need?
Well, and that's the thing. It's like literally the therapist is like, when kids go through this kind of trauma where they lose their parents, they typically look to bond with the next adult that they meet. And rather than bonding with you, you've put her in a position to bond with this toy.
With a homicidal maniac. And what happens?
Right.
The little girl ends up killing him. Killing her.
Bad.
Yeah.
It's a bad situation. It's very upsetting.
She grows up to be Rhoda. I think this is the origin story. Rhoda's the bad seed.
Oh! I think you meant Rhoda from the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
In fact, she grew up to be Rhoda from the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Rhoda Morgenstern?
Rhoda
Okay.
Morgenstern.
Sweet
Before
Jesus.
she moved to New York, she was in fact the bad seed.
She was, right? The kid got the medal for being the best reader, and she whacked him with her tapping shoes. Do kids do a lot of tap dancing back in the 50s? Anyway,
I couldn't ever figure that out. I think they put the metal cleat on it just to keep her from wearing them out. Because it was only on the heel. It was only on the heel.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
No
one knows how we're talking about. I did.
Well, if they don't know what the bad seed is, I can't imagine they're listening to this podcast.
Well, that's not a very enticing offer. Hey, if you know what we're talking about, log out now.
It's a classic horror movie. It is a
classic. It's black and white.
They've tried to remake it. It's never as good as that crazy girl with their crazy blonde curls. She looks like freaking Nellie Olson if she was on
Nellie Olson.
PCP.
Clearly, that's what they were going for. Yes, I took tap. They called me Tommy Toon, was my nickname. And I'd whack him with my shoes after that, though, just to let them know I meant business. Anywho,
you were the king of the tap crowd.
Okay,
first of all, she pairs with the little girl by putting the little girl puts her fingers in the hand. I'm like, what? We've all tried to pair with our Bluetooth. Come on, people.
You should have taken a lot of attempts, is what you're saying.
Multiple attempts, and then it would lose connection frequently.
Absolutely. Just be walking into the wall like, oh, Megan, come back. What are you doing? Falling down the stairs. It would have been very upsetting.
It would have been very upsetting. But then at the end, I believe we're to assume that before Megan is dead, she is paired with the Alexa app, so she'll be whispering to the little girl.
Yes. What was it wasn't called Alexa, it was called like Elise or something. It wasn't Elise. Elsie. Exactly. Turn on the lights. Yes. There's a lot of little product ripoffs here. The Furbies, the Alexa, Teddy Ruxpin. It's all been ripped off in this movie.
The other thing that I wrote down is, the little girl has lost her parents and now is forced to kill her next mother figure.
That's correct.
For an aunt who is indifferent. So she's growing up all right.
She's joining the Manson family at the very least. Am I right?
She's on her way. She's got some booty shorts. She hasn't bathed in weeks. She's got long, stringy hair. She's living in the desert. 100%.
100%. Write it down. There actually is M3gan 2.0 is scheduled to come out next year or in 2 years. So get ready for that.
Well, the idea that they have $100,000 million robot and you can just take it home in the evening if you want, that's cool.
Well,
These freaking companies would have locked this shit down. It ain't going nowhere. She's taking it to summer camp with her crazy fake daughter, her niece.
Letting the dogs chew on it and all sorts of things. Yeah, it's a horror story.
Yeah, no. She's a terrible mom. Terrible mom.
Shall we go behind the scenes?
I just want 2 cents to say that M3gan Part 2 will be as good as frickin' any Part 2.
Jaws 3D.
They're going to be playing it for laughs. It's going to be Chucky times Part 8. It's going to be nonsense.
This movie is already not a comedy.
But we understand that the original is the apex.
That is often true. That's okay. I will stipulate that.
I want that put into the record, please,
put it in
Your
there.
Honor.
Now, behind the scenes, there were multiple different versions of M3gan, as you might imagine. There was like a puppety M3gan. There was a kind of a M3gan that did not move, that they could put like a posable kind of M3gan. And there was also a stunt performer named Amy Donald who would wear like a crazy like M3gan mask and do a lot of like anything that was
popping and locking.
It was like Beach Street out there. Yes. She would do that shit, which I'm assuming she also did like the exotic dance in the hallway.
Correct. I have to assume so.
Do you know what's funny? This reminds me. I used to have Chargers season tickets to the Los Angeles Chargers
And
football
Megan was
team.
there.
There was a halftime show where a bunch of dancers came out dressed as Megan for like, to publicize the movie coming out, and did a crazy little dance on the 50-yard line at halftime of the Chargers game. I think we lost that game.
Yes, there was a curse. Erotic child sex doll popping and locking.
Popping and locking.
This is why San Diego is what it is.
Well, it was the studio who had them do this. This wasn't like the Chargers kind of doing their own thing. But
the Chargers says that sounds great.
They said, sign us up. We're good with
our fans won't know the difference.
Becky and I were looking at each other like, what the hell is this? I hadn't seen the movie at the time. All I knew is there were crazy blonde-haired mimes or whatever they were doing.
It wasn't the Jabberwocky.
It was like the Blue Man Group. It was Electric Boogaloo. Yes, it was very upsetting. This movie was originally shot as an R-rated movie until the producers noticed while editing that it was very close to just being a PG-13 movie. So they edited a lot of the violence and the gore to make it a PG-13 movie.
That's perfectly fine.
I agree. Jason Blum, who was the guy who's Blumhouse, basically cited Drag Me to Hell as a good PG-13 horror film that was effective. That's what he was going for.
I love Drag Me to Hell. That was when Sam Raimi was still kicking around with comedy before he decided to, let's do one where we've stripped all the fun out of it.
Well, he didn't direct those other Evil Deads. He was just kind of the executive producer.
He signed on to this shit. He allowed it to happen.
He did. There's a scene where Megan, towards the end, is like sitting at what looks like to be a child's piano, but it plays it like it's a Steinway. And the song that she's playing was the 1988 Martika hit, Toy Soldiers. Did you recognize that song?
I didn't recognize anything you just said. Heart,
we all fall down like toy soldiers. Not Mantika.
Yeah,
Martika used to be on a show called Kids Incorporated in the 80s. Anyway, that's not.
Yeah, now that you say that, it's flooded. I thought you were saying mantika, like the lard you get at the Mexican market.
Yes,
when you're making
mantika.
tamale.
That's correct. That's what I was going for. Good Lord. James Wan, who did all of the Conjuring movies and all sorts of
he directed
Saw movies, did not direct it, but he helped produce it. And he had some concerns because obviously they've done all the Annabelle movies. So he's like, But they said that this one was meant to be almost a black comedy. And it's not really about according to them, not really about a scary doll. It's more about people's over-reliance on technology and social media. What do you think about that?
I think it's true, but not so much the reliance on social media. It's more about how willing they are to give up their parental responsibilities.
Well, don't they give, like parents give their kids the iPad and say, leave me the hell alone.
Yeah.
But
it's parents just giving up parenting.
That's what they do. They hired Gerald Johnstone to be the director because he had done another Australian horror comedy called Housebound, which actually they did on Joe Bob, which was actually very effective. Check it out. Let's see. Anything else we want to know? Once the first trailer went viral on TikTok with teenagers, Universal Studios had the movie retooled to appeal to a younger audience. So there you go. Do you know what M3gan stands for?
Let's clarify.
Please.
Who was going to see this movie anyway?
This guy right here.
Well, besides you, all these films, these January films, are playing to the high school crowd. They're playing it at every theater attached to a mall. Friday night, good luck.
Friday Night Good Luck. What does M3gan stand for? Do you remember?
It was something 3.
Good work.
Something 3.
Okay.
Generation.
Okay, getting closer.
Artificial.
This is good podcast, by the way.
You asked the question.
I know. That was my mistake.
Artificial negativity.
Model 3.
Model 3.
Generative android. That's it. Shall we talk about the rating?
Should we be concerned about our sister?
Our sister, who's not called M3gan, our sister's M3gan. So
our sister's M3gan, but is she a Model 3?
Could be. Okay. The rating currently on Rotten Tomatoes, 93% certified fresh. Do you know what the audience gave it?
78.
78. Look at you.
That's psychic abilities. Maybe I got a microchip in there.
You do. Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about top critics. Richard Roper of the Chicago Sun-Times.
Come on, Richard Roper.
This cheerfully dark social satire is the year's first terrific movie ride. 3 out of 4. Boom. What do you think about them apples? Peter Travers, ABC News. Go ahead.
There were definitely parts of it were very funny. I mean, M3gan is a bitch, and she is judgy as hell. I just feel like it would be the kids who eventually were trying to push her down the stairs, not just the parents.
Peter Travers of ABC News says, "Move over, Chucky. Here's the killer robot doll thriller we've been waiting for. This jolt of fun and fright stars a sensational Allison Williams as the inventor of a babysitting android with a bloody flaw that makes M3gan the first banger hit of 2023.
I don't disagree because I do prefer this to Chucky. I don't really care for the Chucky films.
Well, we enjoyed the first one a little bit, didn't we?
I guess. I've already blocked it all out. Children, I watch like 900 horror films just for this podcast a day. So eventually they all just flow out of my mind.
They just drift away.
Drift away. Like Sam through the hourglass.
Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian says, an entertainingly nasty film for a new year. See, they all had positive things to say. What is your rating?
It's a hard thing. I definitely, it is not a 90. That's ridiculous. That's because the problem with Rotten Tomatoes is just an aggregate. So if you get like, Freddy the Fool from Fangoria and all these like online nut
Freddy the Fool? Okay.
It throws up. There's no way this is a 90. But I'm good with like a C, a high C. So I am going to give it like a 3. We all need robots who follow you around and judge your parenting.
Interesting.
I would like to send that home with a couple of my students.
I gave it 4 out of 5.
What?
We're very close to each other, but I think I enjoyed it a lot more than you did because you were kind of down on it. 3.75, whatever you gave it, seems like a good score compared to how you were kind of scoffing on it. Let's be true.
I had to. I mean, it starts off strong. Once again, it starts off really strong, but then when she just becomes like a sociopath for no apparent reason, right? I mean, it kind of loses it there. But it started off strong.
So let's say 4 out of 5.
I like judgy M3gan.
Okay, M3gan.
Not to be confused with our sister.
We got 4 out of 5 ears being tossed into the woods, I would say. Let's talk about the cast. We didn't do that before. Allison Williams played Gemma.
I immediately had to Google her because I'm like, I know this chick. Why do I know this chick?
You know her from? She was in 55 episodes of Girls on HBO.
Yes, and that was it. She was great in
That's
Girls. I love Girls.
that's not all. She's also Rose Armitage in Get Out.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
No, she's solid. She's solid.
She was Charlotte in 2018's The Perfection, which I think is
No.
about musicians or something. She
Okay.
played Peter Pan in 2014's Peter Pan Live.
No,
TV
don't care
movie.
about that at all.
Famously, she is Brian Williams' daughter, the news reporter. Yes.
I did not know that.
It's a small world after all.
It is.
Violet McGraw played Katie. You know her from The Haunting of Hill House. She was young Nell.
Yeah.
She was Alice in 9 episodes of Jet.
No.
She was Nina in 2 episodes of Love.
No.
She was uncredited as Shopping Cart Kid in Ready Player One. You know her, don't you?
Okay.
And like I said,
at least have seen Ready Player One. Didn't care for it, but
she was the little girl in the opening scene of Doctor Sleep. Doctor Sleep.
That's right. That's right.
Let's see. Ronnie Chang played David, the CEO.
Oh, he's in everything.
You know him from Megan. He was in Crazy Rich Asians. I don't know why I said Asians. He was in Shang-Chi and could be Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings. He was in Wish Dragon in 2021. Let's see. Who else do you want to know about? Amy McDonald played Megan most of the time. Believe it or not, Amy Donald, not a little person and not a full-grown acrobatic adult. She's a little girl. So there you go.
So she also played. Was her popping and locking.
That was her popping and locking. She was in 8 episodes of Sweet Tooth as Maya.
That sounds like some kind of Lolita situation.
It's something. Let's see. She's going to be in Megan 2.0. So she was the body for a lot when you see Megan walking around generally. A different actress played.
Freeze. How could she, if she's a child, be in the next one?
Well, she's little.
Hasn't there been like 2 or 3 years? She's going to be like 6 foot tall.
Well, hopefully I guess they're filming now. They're filming
or maybe
now.
She has. In the 80s, they always hired poor children actors with like kidney disorders, so they never grew. So they're the same height they were at 7, but now they're 47.
Are you talking about Gary Coleman and Emmanuel Lewis?
Yeah, I am indeed.
Very upsetting. Do you want to know about any of the other actors in this movie?
As far as I'm concerned, there aren't any more.
That's all we need to know. Good times. So, thank you very much. Go to our page on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on TikTok. We're on Threads. We're on Instagram. And you may be watching us right now on YouTube.
Well, maybe not right now.
Eventually. Absolutely. Sweet Lord. You can also email us at the podcast that wouldn't die at Gmail. We are also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, rate, and review. Won't you?
Won't you please?
Aaron, for goodness sake, what is your social media?
I have much media. I'm in all the things you just mentioned. I'm in charge of managing our Ticker Talker. I'm on the gram. I am the Cult of Aaron. Join the cult. I am Don't Feed the Pigeon. Professionally, I am on First Dibs and Artsy, Aaron Doherty. Check it out.
Beautiful. Each week, we kind of talk about viewer and listener mail. So why don't we do that right now?
Lay it on me.
Well,
what did Chuck Taylor from Arkansas have to say?
No Chuck Taylor from Arkansas. A lot of questions about Jaws 3D.
Lay it on me.
Agnes Moorehead had this to say. No, she didn't. There's no Agnes Moorehead. Anywho, Adam Wells says, Dennis Quaid asked, "Where's my cocaine?" I said, wait till the sequel. Good
You ain't
stuff.
wrong, my brother.
Bucket of Chum, the Shark Movie Podcast, said Dennis Quaid was on coke for almost every frame of this movie he's in, to which I responded, and that's why we love it.
That's how he brings the energy.
No question. Sonny Rosen says simply, poor Louis Gossett. Ha ha ha. Academy Award winner, who, by the way, did not play for the Boston Celtics. I don't know where I got that idea. It could just be simple racism. I apologize, Louis, wherever you are today. William James said it's terrible, but somehow ludicrously fun.
Yeah, it's terrible, but strangely amusing. I mean, there's a linear story. It doesn't make sense. It's wacky. You can see where it was supposed to be 3D. I mean, for God's sakes. And Louis Gossett Jr., he deserves to die. Because if your slow motion giant shark is coming at the glass and you can't be bothered to at least stand up and walk 2 feet to the door, then that's what you get. You get what you get and you don't throw a fit.
Louis Gossett does not deserve to die. His character, Calvin Brochard, that's a different argument. But Louis Gossett, we love you on this podcast. Or at least I do. I don't know about Eric. Sweet Jesus. Next week, we'll be discussing the 1977 horror classic, The Sentinel, starring such amazing actors as, give me a sec, Christina Rains. You know her, don't you? Chris Sarandon.
Always a Chris Sarandon. Always a Chris. We need to have why isn't there a Chris Sarandon podcast?
There should be. But let me tell you more. Martin Balson, John Carradine, Jose Ferrer, Ava Gardner, Burgess Meredith. It's an all-star cast. Eli Wallach, Christopher Walken, Jerry Orbach, Beverly D'Angelo. Yeah, it's an and there's some bizarre Jeff Goldblum's in this. Richard Dreyfuss plays uncredited man on the sidewalk.
Furry man on sidewalk.
Yep. Tom Berenger plays man at end. I don't know what that means. Oh
my God. I back in the day, I used to think Tom Berenger was the shit. I had a special feeling.
A special feeling. Now, if you want to watch The Sentinel, you're going to have to cough up a little.
What? It's like 100 years old.
That's why. If it was M3gan, it's on every streaming platform. But since it's 1977's The Sentinel, it's on Apple TV, Amazon Prime, Vudu. It's on YouTube for $3.99.
You did notice that stupid Prime just keeps raising that. All the movies used to be 99, $1.99, $2.99.
Oh, you out of your mind. They get you. They get you. So send in any favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions, and we may talk about it on the show. So thank you very much, and be well.
I say good day, sir.